All right, well, we're back to discuss Cinderella, and if you saw our review, we recommended the movie. This is our spoiler discussion. We get into anything and everything about the movie that we wanted to talk about. Yeah, I thought I was actually kind of worried because I didn't know anything about it going in, other than sort of who the cast was and the director and that sort of thing. To me, the Disney Cinderella version, the things that were like memorable, and I haven't seen it in a long time, but like the mice were sort of her friends. They were like and
that's in it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Gus, like I distinctly remember Gus being sort of the.
Yeah, well, Gus was like one of the mice characters, and they all talk and they sing and all that stuff in the Disney animated version. And so I was actually kind of like picturing in my mind, like it would be cool if they had CG mice that were her friends. And that's exactly what they did. So like I was pleasantly surprised by that. I thought it was smart not to make them, actually talk to her. Like they were hinting toward the beginning like that was going to start happening at some point. That it's
like they do communicate, just not in words.
Right. It does go a little bit over into the she's sort of crazy and she lives in the attic and talks to the mice. Like, I think if they had voices, that would be a little bit too much.
Well, and it made it that much funnier when the goose was like, I can't drive.
Yes.
That was good.
The goose was everywhere. I think you could play a game. There could be a drinking game in there. Like,
I bet Affleck loved that.
Every scene there was a goose. He was peeking around windows.
Yeah, I actually think, and it was kind of hard to tell in some scenes versus others, but I think the goose was also kind of an indication that the mice and or the lizards were also on screen, because there were a lot of times where they were all there, but you really just notice the goose and they're sort of barely in the sort of in the background. And it may be more apparent in the IMAX version than the other versions, but I did start noticing that
it was kind of
the mice were kind of running around somewhere on screen if you looked for them, and they were all kind of there. The stepmother character they didn't make as evil as in the animated version. But then again, like all of the stepmothers, like all of the villainous characters in the cartoon versions are more diabolical.
Oh, right. They even give you kind of a backstory to almost not fully sympathize with her, but you can at least see where she's coming from.
Which is that's a modern thing that they always try to do, is sort of gray the morality a little bit.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Otherwise,
what's with the glass slipper?
Monster.
Why didn't that disappear?
I don't know. I don't remember that from the book.
Because it wasn't changed. It wasn't made.
It started as magic. Oh, the other stuff was enchanted, and then okay, got it.
Oh, right. I guess that's true. She didn't change her shoes into glass slippers. She just made glass slippers.
That's the distinction.
Well, she could have at least made them indestructible, so that when she smashed them.
I'm trying to think if it gets destroyed in the Disney version. I know there's versions of it that it gets broken, that the other one gets broken.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Yeah, when she walked into the room and she's holding it, I'm like, oh, I hope she doesn't break that.
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, like in the Grimm version, like the stepsisters, like maim themselves to try and fit into it. Like they cut,
oh wow,
nice.
They cut pieces off of their heels.
I didn't realize this was one of their deals, so it was probably really twisted then.
Well, and it was originally, it wasn't glass, it was fur or something like that. Like the French word for fur and glass are very similar, and it was originally like a fur-lined shoe instead of a glass slipper, which makes more sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of a...
Yeah, but it's weird that it wouldn't fit if it were fur. Like, you'd think you'd be able to...
Right. I don't know if
magic stretch that a bit.
Originally in the story, if it was more about, like, who had the matching slipper, maybe? I don't know. I guess,
Yeah, I'm sure there's other things like that. But yeah, as far as the movie goes, the stepsisters were funny and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They gave them some good characters.
It was kind of Downton Abbey revisited.
Yeah.
A lot as far as casting.
Yeah, Cinderella and the sister. And one of the captain of the guard or whatever is from Game of Thrones. The prince kind of looks like Robb Stark from Game of Thrones, but wasn't. And Stellan Skarsgård was like the master or whatever, the Grand Duke.
Yeah.
So that whole, like, the people at the kingdom were fairly well developed for what they were too. You know, you had the captain who was loyal, the king who was like eventually won over, and all of that, and then they drew the parallel between him dying and the mother dying. You know, like the final words to your kid sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it was interesting.
Yeah, it was a few good moments. Come to think of it now, like the son was like Cinderella's obviously got a good heart. She's a very pure person, but like the prince guy was not like some kind of douche guy. He was like really good too, you know. And I really liked the kind of dying scene with him and his dad.
Yeah,
like they were totally on the same page.
Yeah. What's the message of the movie?
Have courage and. What was the other thing?
Be kind.
And be kind.
There you go.
But they weren't one-dimensional about it. I mean, you still saw her struggling. Like
they just said it like 35 times.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the only thing.
And then she probably get a T-shirt with it.
She looked in the mirror and like the voice came back, like her mother's voice. Have courage and be kind. It's like really, like again.
Yeah.
Well, the good part was like when she's being mistreated, and because again, I'm not that familiar with the story, but like she's been beaten down. Like her spirit is she almost did kind of like lose faith at one point. I guess that's right when this fairy godmother stepped in.
Well, and at the end when she like forgave her stepmother, you could sort of see her thinking, "I really don't want to do this. I'd like to just."
But that's just what she's made of.
Yeah.
That's the be kind part of it.
Right.
You know, is that even so you have to do that, but
yeah,
it's that Cinderella story.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's not a lot else to really.
Well, if you like the way we do these videos, please like the video, subscribe, check out all the written and video reviews at dalemaxfield.com, and thanks for watching.